Hey everyone, last week we showed you guys how we're getting our cases and assembling them. If you missed that episode, we'll post the link up here for you to check it out. Now that we have 20 something cases complete, let's walk through the process for some of our next steps. As you can see behind me, we have this laminated cabinetry that we've kind of shown you bits and pieces of throughout the process. But here in the kitchen, this is the only run of cabinets that actually gets this laminate. As we've kind of discussed, this is a pretty cool product. It's really matte, it doesn't reflect a lot of light, and it actually has this kind of soft feel to it, although it's a hard laminate product. It's very interesting, feels cool. I actually think it looks pretty cool, so we're excited for the opportunity to actually have tried this product. But it's not all moonbeams and tinsel. However, we did have a few issues with it. Now, there's kind of two camps here, right? There's a lot of people that say, talk about your mistakes. There's a lot who say, don't talk about your mistakes, don't ever show them. We kind of fall in the camp of showing your mistakes and explaining them, so hopefully you guys can learn from them too, and it's not just a learning process for us. We made our samples and everything looked great. However, when it came time to actually making and fabricating the pieces, there's one thing that we had a bit of an oversight on. And that's actually the edge banding here. So as we went through and edge banded all of our doors, everything came out great. We had no issues until we peeled back this protective coating so that we could break the edges and to make sure that everything was up to par. And unfortunately, we discovered that if you come in closer here, you can see this white line that runs around all of the edges. While this might look acceptable and good from far away, when you're up close using this, you're gonna be staring at this the entire time. It is quite unsightly. So this cabinet will actually end up getting a hood insert. We're gonna cut in for that here shortly. And the cooktop's gonna be right here centered on these cabinets. So you're gonna be looking at these edges quite a bit. We also don't have enough of this material left over to make everything all over again. We have some of the shorter pieces, but when it comes to the larger doors, it's not so much the case. And we actually have to purchase a few more sheets of this laminate, which is fairly expensive. And then it's probably gonna take us about another day to get back to this point with relaminating and edge banding these doors. This time we've actually tried a few different techniques and found a few that work a little bit better than using our automatic edge bander. Because this white line that you're seeing is actually the glue from our edge bander. And while it is a gray color, it's not the same color as our panels, so it sticks out like a sore thumb. Since this is our mistake, we can't pass these costs off onto the client. So this is something that we're just gonna have to eat the cost on. We feel that it's the right thing to do. The products that we're producing here, we wanna make sure that they're the absolute best, and for us, this just doesn't meet the mark. So we're gonna go ahead and replace that. The solution that we came up with is we're actually going to use a different kind of glue when attaching our edge banding. And we're gonna go ahead and cut all of our panels to size first, then edge band them. This time, instead of using our automatic edge bander, we're gonna go ahead and clamp them up with some PVA glue, which is what we use to attach the flat surfaces. Both glue types are recommended by the manufacturer, but after a few additional tests, we found that the PVA glue does work much better for our application. We're gonna go ahead, cut those panels to size, edge band them with PVA glue, and then go ahead and laminate both sides of our sheets after they have been edge banded. This is gonna put our seams on the edge of the door, which, yes, it is still a visible location, but we are able to hide them much better, and it's not on the face where you're actually going to be seeing it all the time. So there you have it, yet another mistake that we have made, and it is a hard lesson learned for us. So this is just part of what is a pretty large L-shaped kitchen. We have some lower cabinets coming under here. Not only do we have this laminate on the doors, but it's covering the end panel and this overhang above, giving us this full surround of this Fenix laminate. You can actually see that there's a gap above these cabinets here. That's actually not going to be there when we do go to install this. This overhead piece is going to sit right on top of the cabinet boxes. It's a little bit long right now because if you recall from the previous video where we assembled our cases, we put these cleats on the tops and bottoms of our cases. We also have this filler that is left long so that we can trim it to size when we are in the field. And same thing with the panel on the end. That way we can cut everything to fit once we're on size, and we're never going to short ourselves. This surround here is only part of a very large kitchen. So we have some lowers going in underneath with the cooktop here in the center. To the right is going to be the refrigerator and a pantry cabinet. Now, if we swung back around to the opposite corner, we're going to have a whole run of lower cabinets here coming down over 20 feet. So then down at the end of this 20-something long run of cabinetry, we're going to be 3 extra wide pantry type cabinets, but one of them has a little bit of a surprise to it. We'll cover that in just a second when we get over there. Now, kind of right in the middle here is going to be this nice big island. In the island, there's going to be an oven, the microwave drawer, and then another little homage to the Phoenix here, and then another little laminate bookcase on the end to kind of tie these two spaces together. So the countertop on the island is going to have the same laminate with a waterfalled edge. So all of the lowers and the full height cabinetry are going to be painted a second color, giving this kitchen a full two-tone look. On the back side of the island, we're going to have a bar height solid oak countertop. We've also been covering that in previous episodes as we go through that process. Now let's walk through the shop and take a look at some of these cases starting to come together. Right now, we are starting to lay out our doors and our fillers. So this here is just 2 of the 3 full height cabinets that I mentioned are gonna be way down at the end of the 20-something foot long run of cabinetry. We have 4 doors here that are all the same size, with a 5th door of that same size on our 3rd cabinet. Now the last door is quite a bit wider. Ken, you said that there was going to be a little something special in these cabinets. This must be it, right? You're right. Behind this door, come here, let's take a look. Nothing, just an open box. Wow. Ken, you're so cruel. I know. But, and this is a good but, this cabinet is actually made for a secondary freezer. So we're gonna go ahead and put a full height freezer inside this cabinet. We've already done all of our research on the required space and ventilation that this cabinet requires. You saw that there was no back on this cabinet, and the reason being is so that we can vent this freezer properly. So just outside of this freezer cabinet, we have an end panel. This is going to be the transition between the full height cabinetry and standard lower cabinets. And these here are the cabinets that are gonna be under that gray laminated area. So the cooktop will be set into this cabinet here with some drawer storage on the sides. The pantry cabinet that is going to be to the right of the refrigerator, a couple of large drawer fronts here. And then we get into the long run of cabinetry. So this here is just part of that long run. These are what will butt into that refrigerator panel. And then we have a few other cabinets that still need to be assembled, like the sink base. We have some modifications to do to the top of that. We like to make all of the sink cutouts. We're not doing it on site with a jigsaw. We're able to set up and make a template, route them out properly so that they are a nice clean opening for the sink. Behind each of these doors, it's going to be a little bit of shelved storage. Just about every appliance in this kitchen will get a finished panel. We like to make sure that we're getting all of these appliances here in our shop so that we can fit them into the opening correctly. We can make sure that the panels themselves fit and the doors operate correctly. We've run into issues in the past where the manufacturer's specs aren't actually correct. We've ended up with doors that were too large, causing issues with the opening of the hinges. We've ended up with doors that were too small, and we've ended up with rough openings that were also too big and too small, causing too big of gaps or too small of gaps. So we like to make sure that we have all the appliances here so that we can make sure we're measuring them correctly, and we do keep a log of this, so eventually we won't have to get all of the appliances delivered here. If we find that one of the spec'd out appliances is one that we already have logged, we can just pull all of our detailed information from there. As we come to the final run of cabinetry here, this is the island that I was discussing and that laminated bookcase for the end of the island. This cabinet here actually gets the microwave drawer. So you can see that it is kind of stepped back to accommodate for some of the tabs on the actual appliance. So it's little things like this are the reason why we like to have the appliances here in our possession and we can test fit everything. And the same is true for where the oven's actually going to live. These here are the return legs for that solid oak countertop that's going to sit on the back side of this island. So that's going to conclude this walkthrough of the Cambridge kitchen. I know we breezed through a lot of information and we didn't get into too much detail today, but if you guys do have any questions, please drop them in the comments and let us know. As always, I always say that every time, make sure to hit that subscribe and appreciate you watching. We'll catch you soon. If I was James right now, I would do one of those magic tricks. You know that he does? Oh, he does like 2 fingers. What does he do? 1 finger? 2 finger? We can't all be like James. If I had $1 for every time he walked through when we were shooting,